how my story goes. My name is Nana. Life hasn't been easy for me since when I was like a child. Uh, Growing up um, with my grandmother wasn't really easy. I didn't know that my parents ever existed because they weren't there. So I knew my parents when I was 9, and that was when my grandmother died. So that was when my life began. So I started staying with my mom. She was struggling. And then I also moved on to start staying with my dad at some point, which he was married. So I had to like struggle staying with him because of my stepmom. She didn't make life easy for me, but yeah, I had to like keep pushing and then try to survive. So I graduated from secondary school, and then luckily I got admission into the university immediately. But that was when things became worse for me because my 100 level, I was staying with my auntie, and then she also wasn't like making life so easy for me, so I was struggling. And my dad didn't allow me to stay with my mom. He wanted me to stay with his family members, and it wasn't easy at all. So at some point, I had to like move from my auntie's house to stay alone. And because of that, my dad stopped paying my school fees and then even my rent. He didn't know how I was coping and stuff like that. So I was just there struggling, working my ass out. And then I had to drop out of school because I could not continue. And yeah, I had to drop out. But I still didn't give up. I kept on pushing. So I moved to like stay with my mom because my mom noticed that I was down at that period. So she told me to come back home and start staying with her. So I moved in with my mom. It wasn't really easy because my mom was struggling her to like provide for some certain things, but things turned around for me. So I started my business, which wasn't also easy at that point. It wasn't really easy. I had to like go to the market every blessed day. I would be so stressed, tired. I just go to any shop nearby and then grab my bottle of Rockstar and then I feel good. And then I keep moving. So with that, I was so strong because whenever I don't take my Rockstar, I feel so not to do anything. So but with Rockstar, I keep moving. So also at some point, um, I decided to start auditioning for Big Brother, and I auditioned like quite a few number of times, but it wasn't successful. So yeah, and yeah, so when I auditioned, luckily enough, I got selected. Um, I felt so special. I felt so unique because like quite a number of people auditioned for this, for like poor little girl.
Growing up in Lagos, was not easy fit. I also made a decision to be creative, and that made my situation even more complex. To be very honest, I didn't grow up with any form of self-esteem. I had always had knack for feeling inferior to others, but after a while I started to blossom. Rather than feel inferior, my thoughts became solid. I started to see myself as a special being. I started to believe in my talents and my gifts, and just like Rockstar, I started to start thinking of how to stand strong. After my university days, I made a decision to be on my own, to find my feet in whatever way I can. The first thing I did, I couldn't find a job. I had to start selling tickets at bus stations under the hot sun and everything. So I'll come back every day with sunburns and all, but I kept on going. And when I noticed that wasn't working very well for me because I could not cope with the situation, I became a customer care representative. I tried to call customers to make payments for their subscriptions. And a full-fledged creative guy. I still went for modeling gigs, I still went for acting gigs, I still went for whatever gig I could find. So just to put food on my table, I used to go for gigs as low as 5,000 naira just to be able to survive. And most times I didn't even mind how much I was going to be paid. I just needed transport to get there and get back. But what was in my heart was, so long as I can put myself out there, one day I will always have a chance. And last year, the chance finally came. After all the pushing and all the struggles, I decided to audition for Big Brother, and it was my very first attempt, and by nature, by the grace of nature, I got in. And being in the house has given me reasons to believe that no story or no condition is permanent. You must always start from somewhere, and if you really believe in yourself, you will.
I usually know to be crowd raisers, people who sing songs to lift your souls, individuals who rock the stage with their essence and voice. Well, this is my stage, and I shall release my essence. Good evening, Big Brother, good evening, housemates, and good evening, every single person. My name is Ipeleng. I like to say I am only 25 years old. I haven't experienced life, but today I realize everyone has a story to tell, and this is my story. It was just a normal day in the villages where I was born, in Muratila in the northwest. I just remember my little sister calling my mom and dad and saying, Mama, Papa, Tsatsi is shaking. She can't move her body, she can't speak, she can't say anything. I just remember saying to my dad, Papa, which means hold my hand, because I feel like I'm dying. Little did I know that would be my diagnosis to anxiety. Scared for life, thinking that I would die. Only to be told it's in my head, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm an anxious baby. You slam the door, I jump. You put me in crowded places, I get scared. I'm out at night, I fear for my life, because I feel I will be murdered or taken advantage of. Well, how does one live their life with so much fear? If you ask me, I wouldn't know even how I made it to this day. I always grew up very scared to even try out things or reach for my dreams because I was worthy of actually reaching my dreams. And I guess that contributed to even having my anxiety because I was worried about what people would say about me. Regardless of the of my anxiety, I was able to find myself on this stage, and I definitely think that it's one of the things that makes me a rock star. Because, and again, I thought I wouldn't make it, but here I am today. All I want to say to you is that you just need to believe in yourself and actually realize that you are worth more than you think. What makes me unique? To be honest, I wouldn't want to be cocky and say I'm the first Big Brother Titans finalist or how beautiful I am or my smile. But let me just be honest and serious. What makes me unique is my bravery to explore myself to more than 2 African countries, which is Nigeria and South Africa, to realize that there's so many people that are watching me and rooting for me. How I went from being a girl that struggled with confidence, low self-esteem, to now embracing my height, to now embracing who I am and my capabilities in life. My drive to keep going and winning is what makes me a rock star.
I struggled writing, so I decided to let it out from within. My name is Kanaga Jr, a young boy from Abia State, on Afia local government to be precise. I live in Lagos State. Grew up in a military home. In 2014, I lost one of my favorite people, my favorite person, my immediate elder brother, who was the final and last person that saw me play my favorite sport, basketball, on a big stadium for representing my school for the All Efforts Games. And coming back home and receiving the news that I lost my brother, who just got into university, was heartbreaking for me because I was the last person to see him. But I kept on moving because if there was one word he told me, he said, "What will be, will be." And as a rock star, the rock star is one person who keeps his head up and believes in the dream and takes your stage as your own. Moving forward, I left high school in 2016. I didn't get my admission into university to chase a degree, a BSc degree in microbiology. Hence, I started to explore myself as the rock star that I am in the creative space. I started off as a production assistant. I started to learn makeup, special effect makeup. I was doing this for about a year and a half. And on the journey of self-discovery, I felt like I was worth more than being a production assistant and just a makeup artist. I tried working for a 9 to 5, but I saw that I was more than that. I had more to offer to the society at large and the world. And I moved into the film space, the movie industry. In 2020, the one time I had the decision to chase my dream as a basketballer, the lockdown came. I was depressed. It is my stage. In that previous year, 2019, I lost my dad in the month of May. And because of the traditional rites, I was the only son and available male child in the house. I had to take my dad's corpse to the village, Abia State. I had so many questions as a young growing boy who was trying to explore the craziness in life, but there were no answers for me. I came back to Lagos and realizing that I had a lot of responsibilities. I had my mom and sister to take care of. So I kept on soldiering on, and I kept on soldiering on with my Rockstar energy drink on my day-to-day lifestyle activities. I came back, I went back into my hustle, 2020. I decided to explore. I started to send in monologue tapes and auditions for roles in the movie industry. During the lockdown, I wasn't able to be in Lagos because I got things keep going. And I feel like, and I know, and I believe that that's one unique thing about me as a rock star. My name keeps me going. My name keeps my drive going. I believe so much in myself. I am not just a rock star. I am a superstar, I am a movie star. And above all, this is my stage, this is my life. And I'm saying this story to everyone out there.
Brother, and good day, my fellow housemates, and good evening, Africa. I'm going to share my story on what happened to me in 2018. So in 2018, I fell off a one-story building. It was hard because it was like a week to my final exams. So that was my second university. So I felt so bad, like why is it now that I'm gonna finish that I'll fall off a one-story building? I couldn't walk, I needed support to like go to the bathroom, just do things for myself. That didn't stop me. I said I was going to graduate when every other person in my set was going to graduate. And I wrote that exam with so much pain. And trust me, that was my best result in me. And another journey of mine is coming into Big Brother. I auditioned for this show like 4 times. And the 5th time was my lucky time, and I made it to Big Brother house. So all these things have happened. I mean, it's not been easy. Growing up, my parents tried so hard to put food on our table and send my siblings and I to the best schools. So I didn't really have any struggles growing up. And it was when after uni, I tried to like do things by myself and just put food on my table and get to that point where you have to leave your parents' house and stand on your own. So it wasn't easy, I had different jobs, modeling jobs, catering. I did everything that I could to get food on my table. It wasn't easy. And some days I just want to give up, and I just tell myself, if I give up, who is gonna do these things for me? So I just keep pushing, and here I am in Big Brother house week 9. It's not been easy. It's been an emotional roller coaster for me in this house. Coming here, I thought, I was very competitive and all that, but getting here and not winning anything, it takes a toll on me sometimes, but that's not going to stop me from pushing. Like, I'm here and I'm worthy enough, so I'm going to keep pushing. So I'm a rock star because life is not easy, to be very honest. Life isn't easy, and I feel like once there is life, there's hope.
cold night, three wise men carried gifts for the kings of kings and the lords of lords, bringing frankincense, silver, and myrrh. They let the star guide them to find the rock star that was going to change the world forever in the manger. On December 19th, 1997, a woman was in pain. A woman was losing blood. A woman was with a child. She was told that this child wouldn't survive. She was told that it was either her or the child. She was told that she has the flu. She was told she has chickenpox. But that same night, a child was born, hale and healthy. This same child grew up at the age of 7 to climb up a very tall basketball rim to try and look over a wall to see people doing taekwondo. Fell down and hit his head on pure concrete and left a scar on his forehead. A miracle is a rock star. This same child at the age of 15 was chased by his brother on a Christmas Eve, tripped and hit his head on the edge of the bed. Broke his head again. I promise you, this child is not doing it on purpose. But he survived. He did not want to create attention because he was scared of what his mother would think. So he laid on the couch and passed out from loss of blood. Could have died. A miracle is a rock star. This same child entered school, primary school, and was bullied because of his size, because of the way he looked, because of the spots on his body. He was made fun of, even accused of stealing his teacher's fish, just so he could get suspended. His mother looked at him and told him, a miracle is a rock star. This same child entered secondary school, still facing the bullies, still facing the doubts in himself, still not believing. Every morning he went to school sweating and a hanky in his pocket, just so he could clean it off and they would not laugh in his face. But it continued. The laughter continued. He wasn't the most athletic, but he tried to be. He was not the most handsome, but he talked to every girl. He wasn't the funniest, but trust me, he cracked jokes in class that led to him getting in trouble and led to people, instead of laughing at the jokes, laughing at him. A miracle is a rock star. He knew that anytime he graced the stage, closed his eyes, said what he had to say, stood back, all he could hear was miracle, miracle, miracle. And that's when he realized a miracle is a rock star. This time faced so many challenges. Accusations that could take his scholarship. Accusations that could have taken his life. Things that could have ended him not just as a man, but as a human being. But he finished university with 2 degrees and always remembered a miracle is a rock star. He had sepsis. Most of you may not know what sepsis is. A sepsis is a blood infection that causes when the appendix gets perforated. An infection, a disease that only 15% of people in the world survive from. This boy survived again, went through so much pain, so many surgeries, has a scar to remember about.
Brother, good evening, my fellow housemates. I am a rockstar. What I mean by this is, I've been able to achieve a lot in a short period of time. Let me tell you my story. A girl from Limpopo, most of those there, came to Johannesburg when she was 18 years of age. Knowing nothing about Johannesburg life, and she had to jump from one school to another, which was not a problem for her because she was able and still is able to adapt to every situation she faces. Her father passed away when she was 4 years old, and she barely knows her father. and it does not sit well with her. But she must always be strong. Never really talked about her father, but there's nothing to talk about. Even a picture of him is nowhere to be found. Rather, let me say, a picture of me with him is nowhere to be found. When other kids talk about their fathers, she used to just sit there and listen. But learn to appreciate the little things that she has. Her stepfather, who played and still playing a big role in her life. He treated her like one of his own and never made her feel any less. And now she's 22 years of age and rocks like she never rocked before. My name is Bbtitans, known as Blue Aiva, a hustler, a force, a go-getter. My life has always been surrounded by music and dance. I grew up in a family whereby there are DJs, guitarists, pianists, and I ended up inheriting their musical aura. I'm the first female to break boundaries and take chances in the industry. Never been scared of anything because I always knew that I was born to win. So, I finished high school in 2017, went to varsity 2018, not knowing what I wanted to do. But I knew that I wanted to be in the music industry. I knew that I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. It was not easy. It was not easy. First year, I had to take a train to school. And it was not easy. But I'm glad nothing bad happened to me. I always looked up to the mornings and the afternoons. Why? Because I'll see people who go to work. I'll see people who hustle. I'll see people who work hard workers. And that encouraged me to even do more. I was studying film and TV, which was something that it opened up my eyes to a lot of things. Not knowing what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do everything that I needed. Without her, I don't think I'd be here today. She really did a lot for me, and I love that woman. Because she never even judged me with the things that I do, me being in the industry. She's always been there for me. I'd chill at home and do nothing. I'd sleep the whole day. She's that I'm doing, I know it's gonna work for me. I know I'm gonna make it. I know I've got this. 2018, I was invited to be in a music video. I did not know anything about it. They just told me to come dance. I did not know that you get paid to dance. I went there. I did my thing because I love dancing. I love music. I got paid. I was so excited. My first pay. Didn't know that you can dance and get paid. It continued. I was featured in many music videos. It continued.
Growing up wasn't really difficult, in my opinion. I think growing up my story of how I grew up isn't the story of how I struggled. I think it's a story of how I persevered. I think it's a story of how no matter what I thought was in my way, no matter what was actually in my way, that there was always a way to overcome it. I remember growing up, we used to love soccer. We used to play soccer with bricks in the streets, barefoot, come back with bottles under our feet. I remember when I was growing up, we used to walk in sandals and short shorts, walk about 30 kilometers to go watch soccer in the hot sun. And we walked just like that because we knew that if you got robbed, you might come back with no clothes. So at least if they take these, your parents won't be as mad. Growing up, we used to walk similar distances to go play games, walk there, get there, play soccer matches, and then come back, and then, I remember being beaten because I walked to go play soccer and I forgot to tell them at home that I was going to play soccer. I think when I got a little older, I started to realize that things aren't as perfect as they seem and that I can't keep asking for stuff and expecting to get it like other kids do. When I realized that I needed to stop asking for money, I remember I think I was around 11 years old. I asked my mom, at the time it was one last thing, but I asked her to buy me shades that were popular at the time. And it was, I've asked her to buy me a couple of pairs and it wasn't for me. It was so that I could walk to the nearest taxi rank to go start selling them there. And I realized that, okay, I'm making some money. And I'd go back to my mom and I'd be like, Mom, here's some more money, please go buy me some more shades. And she'd go do what I think is gonna work for me. I think I started finding myself through those times in me being creative about making my money. I remember bringing groceries home and my family thinking I was selling drugs, but it was from these gigs that I'm doing. You know, share that food. I remember in high school failing an English test and my parents being confused because I was a pretty decent student in school. And I failed because I didn't really think those marks counted, which they didn't. But at parents' evening, the story changed. So I remember having the first team tour that I had to go to after that, and I remember my parents telling me that they won't pay for that. I understood why they wouldn't, but they wouldn't listen and hear me out when I told them I knew that the test wasn't for marks, and I'd do better in the next one that was for marks. But they knew that the day after I come back from that tour was going to be that very test. So they said they wouldn't pay and they stuck to but I know my family believed in me because I always believed in myself. I always knew that where there's a will, there's a way.
Rather. So the three words that I carried on my shoulders for the longest time were failure, impossible, and the phrase, you cannot do this. A lot of people are really inspired by my work ethic and some of the things that I do right now, but it was not really like that. So here is my story. I was not really one of the smartest kids in school, you know. It's always, you're so pretty, but you know, you're not really smart, you know. My marks were never great enough and cool. Final year of my matric, I failed. All the kids in my matric group actually passed, and I was the one person that actually failed. Not a lot of people know this, but I failed. So the school pass rate was actually 99%. Because of me, I was that one person that actually failed. That really pierced my heart so much because can you imagine a lot of kids going to varsities and you look at yourself and you failed. What do I do now? I can't go to varsity. I cannot do anything. My parents are telling me that I should get a job. I was like, no. So the rock star in me told me that, you know what? I had a passion for science. Always loved science. I didn't really know much about it, but I've always been intrigued by it. So I told myself, you know what, let me go back to school and actually challenge myself this time to study. So I did that and I passed, right? So after conquering that little obstacle, I passed, I apply at a varsity now. Okay, I get accepted. But here is another obstacle, finances. So I couldn't really afford now to pay for my school fees. And what pained me so much was that now I actually made it. Now I actually delivered. I have the marks, but I can't go to school. But you know what? The rock star in me said, keep going. So I decided to get jobs. Here I am. I'm selling perfumes. I'm making little bags. I am working. I'm collecting the little cents that I can to actually go to school. You know, my parents are also chipping in. Fine, okay, I made it to school. I got to varsity, I got accepted, it's a big celebration. When I get to school, guess what? Another obstacle. I get there, they're like, no, your marks are still not good enough for you to actually study microbiology. And I'm like, damn, that dream again shattered. fine. I had to now start from the bottom and actually upgrade my marks. I have to do these like upgrading courses. And I was like, you know what? Let me just go and upgrade. I upgrade my marks. There I was doing my thing, and finally I passed. I got accepted into microbiology. I started studying. I remember I wouldn't even sleep because I still carried the stupid, this is not possible, you cannot do it. And I'd never really rated myself as somebody that is smart. Got into microbiology. Here I am actually passing. I'm delivering A's, and I was really so proud of myself because I am a sister of 4 brothers, you know. So for the first time in my life, I could actually go home and be like, I've got A's, and I felt like they had somebody to actually like look up to and be like, if my sister can get a 98%, hey man, I can do it too. Okay, fine. So I do that, and man, now that I can see that I am actually smart, the rockstar in me says, you know what? Why don't you try juggling science and engineering at the same time? I'm like, okay, let me do that. Applied at another varsity, so I'm currently doing my final year simultaneously in engineering as well as microbiology. And one of the proudest things is that I actually inspired my dad to go back to school, because my dad actually had like 4 modules, just 4 modules for him to actually get a degree. And I'm like, no, you can do this, let's go. So I registered my dad into school, and little did people know, my dad and I were actually in the same class. You know, my dad was really worried. He was like, how are you going to feel about you and I being in the same school? And I was like, man, one thing that I've taught myself is that if you want something for yourself, the rock star in you should always push you to actually chase your dreams. So we did that. My dad finally got his 4 modules. He got his degree. I'm also doing my final year, you know.
I shout a lot, I wear leather pants, and have long curly hair. These aren't the only things that make me a rock star though. From a young age, I've known that life is not fair, from seeing the obstacles my parents went through while raising me, and trying to create a better life for our family. I've always been impulsive, stubborn, and no one could talk me out of a decision that I'd already made. I believe these attributes contributed heavily to the person I am today. I'm always going for what I want without hesitation. If I think something will contribute to my life in a positive manner, I leave it. If I think it will, I push hard to do my absolute best at whatever it is. An example of this is my high school career. I did not enjoy being at school, and therefore didn't even try to do good. That may sound crazy, but I always knew that education was not for me. I was not built to have my head in a book. I was built for money. And I will do whatever I need in order to get it. Again, that sounds crazy coming from someone who is absolutely broke. But I can proudly say that every decision that I have ever made contributed to my life positively. After school, I started working and made the most money that I've ever made in my entire life and could help to support my family. I decided against going to university in order to achieve my goals, one of which was making it into the Big Brother house. This opportunity came right after I lost my job. As a young man from a small city representing a minority group, I strive to be more than a stereotype. I have overcome many obstacles, the ones that have been placed there for me, and also the ones that I have created for myself. And I believe that this makes me a rock star. Thank you.
Rock the nation. That's what a friend of mine in university used to say every time we're about to go on stage for our pageant competition. She used to say we are rock stars, and rock stars fear nothing, but we're just big dreamers. I'm simply a big dreamer from the dusty street of Osizweni in Newcastle, #ZuluGoRock, a small town girl with dreams larger than her reality. From a young age, I knew life was my stage and I was ready to star in it. I'm not only a dreamer, but I'm a hustler too. At the age of 8, I started my business. I used to sell sweets for 10 cents in class. Even though I got high on my supply, the vision was there. Shout out to my dad for buying me stock, because he believed in my dreams of being a businesswoman. I then moved to lemon because sweets weren't really working out for me. I started selling lemon. I did not steal them from my neighbor's tree, I promise. I don't know how that ended, the lemon business, but probably because I don't think in my area lemon is the best thing to sell. But the vision was still there, hustling. At the age of 15, I got my first real job as a packer at a grocery store. Within a week, I got promoted to the fruit and veg section, which is my proudest moment because I went from being paid 50 Rand a day to 80 Rand. This meant that I could save some money for my tuition fees. Even though I was in grade 9, grade 10, I really wanted to go to university and I didn't want any financial obstacles, so I started saving money then. When I finally made it to university, I wish my parents would have been there for me, but I know that at the time, from the household I was in, no one has ever left to go to university. I knew my parents didn't know how to go about it, so I knew that I had to push for myself. No one told me I needed to apply. No one told me how to go about it. I did that all by myself. When it was time for me to leave home, my mom had a couple of grants for me on top of the money I've been saving for the past 2 years, including sacrificing my matric dance. I told my parents I don't want to go to matric dance. Instead, I would like to use that money to add on my tuition and all the stuff I would need for university. When I arrived at university, I remember the first day, registration. Everyone was there with their parents, everyone was there with their family, and I was just there by myself. I didn't know anyone. My family was 6 hours away. That almost broke my spirit, but I kept on going. I remember struggling for meals, and I was okay with that. I remember one time, I didn't have money to buy sanitary pads, and I had to call my mom and just ask for 20 Rand. I don't know how you said 20 Rand, but she said 20 Rand. All those moments never felt like a struggle to me, because I knew that there was a goal bigger than where I was. There was never a single time I felt like I struggled in life. Regardless of everything that I went through, I've always known that I'm meant for a bigger purpose, so whatever obstacle that came my way, I just kept pushing. I did a lot of side hustle. I got into pageants, which I think is one of the main things that inspired my confidence, which is one of the main things I believe kept me going, because it reminded me of who I am rather. What's funny about my journey is that from the age of 17 when I left my parents' house and had nothing but myself, because I've always had me. I struggled throughout my life. Not too bad though, not too bad, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't that bad. But I didn't have much when I think about it now. What's crazy is how my life changed in the past 8 to 6 months ago. My life took a complete turn. I was able to get myself a nice apartment in a decent suburb. I got a new job. I got a new car. I started businesses. I started my own advertising agency. I focused more on my charity organization. I started my own fitness line. It's amazing how, when I left my house,
One day, you will be like those people. Good evening, big brother. Good evening, fellow housemates, and good evening, everybody that's watching. As a kid, growing up in the cool city of Jos in Plateau State, Nigeria, I always knew that life was my stage and I am a performer the world was waiting to see. As a child, I can clearly remember one evening while watching a movie with my dad, and I looked to him and said, "Daddy, I want to be on TV like those people. I want to do what they're doing." I clearly remember me going to the back of our box television
trying to get it to the TV, trying to see those people and do what those people were doing. My dad smiled at me and said, those people are not here right now, but don't worry, very soon, one day you'll be like those people. I don't know if my dad said all that because he wanted me to feel better or because he meant it. But as disappointed as I was, I couldn't meet, as disappointed as I was that I couldn't meet those people on TV, that point I still haven't forgotten till today. What my father said to me, one day you'll be like those people. Fast forward to about 20-something years later, a young adult in still the cold and sweet city of Jos, still trying to be like those people. It wasn't all roses, it wasn't easy because apparently where I come from, where I stay, those people aren't really from there. Those kind of things don't really happen from where I come from. And I was even told at some point, I don't really sound like those people. I can remember a time when those people came to my town to shoot, and we got the opportunity to be on set, and after everything, it was time to get paid, and somehow we didn't get paid. Someone like swindled the return money. And that was when I said to my friend, I think at this point we need to create our own stuff. We need to do our own stuff. That was when I realized that life is a stage and you can't keep waiting for some opportunities. You need to come up with the opportunities. I clearly remember picking up my phone, calling my friend. I was like, Castro, do you know what? Come, let's go and do something. Let's go and create something. It's very, very strange and weird being like a creative from where I come from because you don't have a lot of that. So it was just us with our passion and no platform. My friend came, we went, we did what we did, and of course, because we were on TV, so we used what we had. We posted what we created online. I can remember my aunties and uncles coming to our home and asking me, okay, so now you're done with university. Where are you? What are you doing? Are you trying to get a job? And I can see my mom struggle to try and explain to them that he is a content creator or he's a creative. Again, because these things or these names weren't really a thing, weren't really popular at that point. I did not give up, I kept on pushing because I believe that is what I wanted to do, and I truly believe that if I kept on doing it, I would make it with that. Gradually, we kept on creating content, we kept on doing what we were doing and posting online because basically that was where we could put out what we did. We didn't really get a lot of recognition, again, because it was a very slow growth. Gradually, I clearly remember the first time someone actually paid me to make a content or to create a video to advertise their brand. Once I got the money, I took it to my parents and I gave them. It was a thank you for not forcing me to go a route that I didn't want. Thank you. Just needed to believe that you can be a rockstar from anywhere. You don't have to be on TV like those people. Oh, what an irony. I'm on TV now. So every kid watching me from every corner in Africa, you don't have to be like me. Be you. Life is a stage. You don't have to be on TV to feel fulfilled. The drive to keep going and winning regardless of what life throws at you makes you a rockstar.